Welcome to Scouting the Meta. I am Kim Jong Timo, and today we are going over the top lane picks of July 15th and the 19th. First are our popular picks. Our most popular pick is Maokai, who was picked in 33 games in this past weekend. He's a very strong, tanky top laner. Maokai is really good in a 1v1 thanks to his passive sustain. And he also has the ability to farm safely in a 1v2 thanks to his sapling toss and his arcane smash. For these reasons both, he's been considered a really strong top laner for the past year, and I don't see that changing anytime soon unless he were to eat some really hard nerfs. Although, fairly recently, probably a couple months ago, he did see some nerfs to his passive and the amount it heals him, but that didn't really hurt him too greatly. He's still an unbreakable tank thanks to his ultimate, and he's still bringing a lot of crowd control between his Q, his W, and his E. And I don't think the nerf to Righteous Glory will be enough to see less Maokai, just maybe less Righteous Glory. But at the same time, with how good the item is, I don't think the health nerf will really affect how much it's built on these tanky top laners like Maokai. So overall, a really strong pick right now. He seems to get picked in the first rotations a lot. So as long as teams value him this high and he doesn't get nerfed, I don't really see him going away. So next up on our list is the fourth most popular top laner this past weekend, Fizz. This is not the AP Fizz that will burst you down in half a second. This is the AD Fizz that builds Trinity Force and Blade of the Ruined King. Although this version of the champion went away for a while after seeing some nerfs to his W and the change of it, I believe he's here to stay. He seems to be really strong still. I think he's one of the best carry top lane champions, maybe behind Rumble if you consider him a carry top laner. But Fizz seems really strong with really good damage between the T-Force and the Bork, and he just has so much mobility between his Q and his Troll Pull. And then he can burst anyone down if he lands a Shark, even those really tanky champions. I think this AD Fizz is really strong, and I feel like we're going to see more and more of him again now that I think people have either gotten used to the changes or they've accepted that he's not really that bad after the changes. Next up is Rumble, who was picked 20 times this past weekend. He did get a buff in 5.13 with the 30 ability power increase to Leandries, but only North America and Europe got a play on that patch. So he did still see play in China and Korea, so he was not necessarily weak before, obviously. I do expect to see more and more of him, and probably more bans of him. He did get banned quite a bit as well. But this is a champion who had great mid-game power spikes, who was really good at helping take objectives due to his ultimate combined with Leandries. So before he would first build Leandries and group up with the team and take objectives, and now that Leandries is stronger, being up for those mid-game team fights will also be easier for him. Nerfs might be in his foreseeable future. It'll be interesting to see what Riot decides to do to him after buffing Leandries. He was really one of the only champions before that liked to build it, and now a lot of people really like to build it. But he also just got a lot stronger with it, so it'll be interesting to see what Riot decides to do with Rumble. Leave him alone, or just to nerf him after Leandries' buff. Next up is everyone's favorite tanky ninja, Shen. He was seen in 22 games over the past weekend, and considering he wasn't really seen at all until his buffs a few patches ago, I think that's really good for the champion. They gave him some scaling magic resist, which helps out a lot considering the other top laners right now being our Rumble, Maokai, a little bit of Nautilus, Ryze when he makes it through bans, and Vladimir when he gets picked anymore. That helps the champion out a lot. I like seeing him played by players who can really land those great taunts, such as Cavachard. I really liked his game against Origin the other day. Having said that, I think Shen is very dependent on having good ultimates and good taunts, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because that lets better players do better on the champion. So Shen has a lot of playmaking ability with his taunt and his ultimate, but he also has some split pushing potential if he builds a Sunfire, which pretty much everybody does. So he has a lot of uses. and I think he's going to be in competitive play for quite a while unless he sees some sort of nerfs, which I don't think will happen because he doesn't really seem overly strong. Our next segment is called Ban Prison, and as you probably could guess, Ryze is the most banned top lane champion. Not just top lane champion, he was the most banned champion overall in competitive play. He was banned 58 of 63 competitive games. Quite frankly, he's just way too strong right now. It's like Kassadin over a year ago. He just can lock someone down and burst anyone down late game. It's just kind of too hard to play against, as a lot of professional teams have decided. All of that said, he does have some nerfs in the 5.14 patch, but that's just going live now, so that'll be a little bit before it even sees competitive play. So until then, expect him to get banned, and don't expect him to be left up at all if he doesn't get banned. So our next segment is Fresh Picks, where we go over off meta or just newer. First on our list is Runeglaive Gangplank. The whole point of this build is to crit magic damage with your Runeglaive combined with Infinity Edge and Static Shiv. The problem with this build is, since you need to bring Smite for it, he did not have any mobility. Gilius was able to camp him as Jarvan and just keep ulting him, and he couldn't get out of it. So he just kind of fed, and it didn't really work out. I don't really see this being played ever again, especially with the upcoming changes to Runeglaive in 5.14. Our next pick is Riven, who was played by Huni against Roccat as a counter to Rumble. As I said before, Rumble's really strong in 5.14, and Huni wanted a way to counter him. His answer to that was Riven, and it worked really well. At one point, Riven was up 100 CS on Rumble. So yeah, Rumble was just really far behind the entire game, and Riven was really far ahead. And as you may know from solo queue, a fed Riven is not fun to play against, so he was able to just really nuke. So Huni being Huni, he was able to pull off some really good plays, including a flash over the Wraith Wall into a 3-man key strike stun. If you're a fan of Riven, I suggest watching this game, Fnatic vs Roccat. It's been a pick that's been seeing a little bit of play here and there in China and Korea, but it's the first time it's been seen in the West recently. I expect to see more of this pick, considering it's counter Rumble, and Rumble's a lot stronger, so his counters are stronger now. Our last off-meta pick is top lane Nunu, who is played by OMG Xiang. At first I wasn't sure about the pick because he didn't really have too many targets for the Blood Boil, although they really made the pick work. He repeatedly kept trying to 1v1 Ezreal, and it was hilarious to watch because he succeeded with it every time. This is a very entertaining match to watch. It was Game 1 of OMG and Masters 3. He just ran around and just harassed Ezreal most of this game. It was very funny. If you like to watch Nunu shenanigans, I suggest watching it. He had one play where he just kept snowballing and chasing Ezreal with a red buff and Blood Boil, and ended up killing him while Alistar was trying to peel him the entire time, but just couldn't. I don't really see this pick becoming a meta pick. I don't think it was a bad pick though. He's still a good tank, and he's still Nunu. I just don't really see him playing out of the top lane too much more. Our next segment is the awards, and our first award is top of the class, which is going to Fizz, who was 9-4 in his 13 games he was picked, giving him a very good win percentage. I think Fizz is a really strong pick right now, and I expect to see more and more of him as time goes on. My bottom feed of the week is Rumble, who went 7-13 in his 20 games. I do not think he's a weak pick though. Like I said, in 5.13 especially, he's really strong because of Landry buffs. I just think he had a bad week. Our last segment is Roundup, where we go over the rest of the picks. First up is Nard, who was picked 10 times, won 6 of those games. Then Vladimir was picked 3 times. Nautilus was also picked 3 times. And then Hecarim was picked 6 times this past weekend. And then Shyvana was picked 4 times, unfortunately lost all those games. Jarvan got picked once, and then Renekton also got picked once, as well as Yasuo and Kennen. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I will have one for each lane every week, and also follow me on Twitter at KimJungTimo, and we'll see you